Okay. Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk. We have just seen JUNTO Nakatani go 30-0, 23rd stoppage of his career against David Contreras in Japan. Third round stoppage. Danny, very impressive stuff by Nakatani once again. This man cannot be stopped. What did you make of that performance?
Sort of what we've come to expect from JUNTO Nakatani fights. Cuellar brought a bit of aggression, clearly had ambition to begin with anyway, but then first knockdown, you could tell he was badly hurt. And with 15 seconds in the round, you're thinking maybe he could make it to hear the bell and see how he could regroup in the fourth, but Nakatani just jumped on him and flattened him. And you could see, even though he wasn't unconscious, he didn't have much interest in carrying on. So, yeah, standard affair for a Junto Nakatani fight these days.
Yeah, obviously, look, was a heavy favourite. Let's not deny, like obviously a massive puncher as well. Nakatani is so. I don't think we're overwhelmingly shocked here at what's happened, and I feel like scheduled for 12 rounds ended at the end of the third, so there's a limit. There's not much to kind of say here in terms of kind of analysing the fight. I'm not going to ask you, who you gave the first two rounds to because it gets it get pretty boring pretty quickly. I'll drive straight into it, Danny, because I know this is probably we've discussed this many times now and it's probably boring. But where's your head at in the whole Inoue thing? Both still undefeated, both kind of Japanese. Inoue, we're expecting him to next fight in May. Do you think we'll ever see that fight, or do you think it's one of those where it just might not ever happen?
Yeah, I'm starting to lose a bit of faith because obviously NEA's plan for 2025 has sort of been outlined already. It's going to be that Picasso fella in Las Vegas, and then I think there's talk of Akhmadaliev in a Riyadh season show. And then after that, it sounds like that's when the move to featherweight's going to happen, and Nakatani's still at bantamweight, and there doesn't seem to be too much talk about him moving up. So it's a great shame. I mean, maybe we could still see it. I could be wrong, but as time goes on, I'm growing less and less confidence that we will, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree with you. I think it's one of those where, look, it would be a massive, massive fight, possibly the biggest fight ever to take place in Japan. But it's just, I think it's maybe one of those that, due to timing and weights and different fights going on, might not ever happen. We'll have to, as we know, like the division is dominated by Japanese fighters. I know we've discussed before kind of the prospect of these fighters fighting each other. We'll have to see if that happens this year. Either those would be fantastic as well. But I'll throw another couple of names at you as well, Danny. Juan Francisco Estrada has confirmed his fight's next going to be at bantamweight. Almost 35 years old now, but that would be a big fight, wouldn't it? For Nakatani, would be one to kind of get many people involved. Is that one you can see happening? Is that one that appeals to you at all?
I mean, I would rather a unification against one of the other champions, all Japanese, as you say. It would be get me more excited than this and his last fight against that fella from what was from Thailand, was he?
Mm.
I don't think it would go too well for Estrada at this stage of his career. But if he is to carry on and that's the weight he's moved up to, then may as well jump straight in at the deep end, I suppose. But yeah, be a step in the right direction. As I say, I would prefer unifications. There's some really good stylistic matchups out there with those, but I would take Estrada at this stage, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, look, and I think you've mentioned there's no talk of Nakatani moving up. I agree with you. I'm not sure he will. I'm not sure he will do. I think his next kind of two or three fights at least will be at bantamweight. I just think yeah, you want something. I want to have Nakatani to have a fight where it gets announced and you don't assume that he's going to win by stoppage. You assume someone's going to ask some questions of him, and it's just he's clearly a fantastic fighter, but it's getting maybe getting a little bit frustrating now. But we'll see what he does next. Hopefully, he's back in the ring again soon. Final one from me, Danny. I've had a look at the rankings as I like to do. Two of the fighters in the top 15 are actually fighting each other next month. Charlie Edwards and Andrew Kane. Um, what thoughts on that one? I think give us your thoughts on like Charlie Edwards, Andrew Kane, who you think's going to win that fight, please. And then Charlie Edwards is ranked fourth. Kane is ranked 15th. But is that a fight can you see one of those guys, the winner of that fight, getting an opportunity?
Who do I think will win? Charlie Edwards, Andrew Kane. Maybe slightly edge Andrew Kane, just a bit too fresh, physically strong, but obviously very close fight. Charlie Edwards, much more seasoned at a higher level. Could I see them getting a shot at Nakatani? Maybe, potentially. Charlie Edwards has always talked since he's made this sort of like, what you would call it, a comeback about getting a big fight over in Japan. He's issued sort of come and get me calls to whatever the fellow's name is, Mr. Honda. They always refer to him as big ask for either of them against Nakatani. But I think, to be fair, that would get the likes of us a bit more excited because domestic interest. But
Yeah.
then I think people worldwide would just look at it the way we have Nakatani's last two or three opponents. But I would, get up for it 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think it would be nice. I feel like we've seen when you compare to Inoue, we've seen Inoue face some British guys in the past and made easy work with them. But we would be nice to have that British interest with Nakatani. I can see it happening, by the way, because if Nakatani isn't going to fight in a Inoue or an Estrada next, and he kind of has to fight somebody in the top 15 in the WBC, I can see it being the winner of that fight, just from a timings perspective as well. Those guys are fighting in a couple of weeks' time, so we'll see what happens. Danny, appreciate you joining me on a Monday afternoon, especially after a marathon of boxing on Saturday night. But we roll on for another busy week in sport. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.